What is the weather like? How do you win 3.5 games in bowls? Two of the questions we hope to be answered today. Perhaps the most difficult question is how we let go. How we say goodbye and yet celebrate and do justice to this time that we have together with you, sir. There are a number of you who have been a part of this community. Some of you have travelled away and come back for this important occasion. If we were to take all the calm genes that you brought today, they would not compare to the genes that exist in you, sir. And so we're going to keep it simple. This, your last roll-up. We're going to make sure we get the bias correct. We're going to make sure we keep it simple. And most of all, we're going to make sure that we honour you, that we give thanks for you, and together with those who are unable to be here, to farewell you well. On behalf of the family, thank you for being a strength for them this day, as they in their way say their farewells and share their joys and their memories with you, and together as we give thanks for Jim. I'm simply going to pray for the family, and then we're going to hear from them as they share with us. God of all, we ask for strength in this time together as we begin to farewell Jim this day. We pray for the family. We pray for the family who are unable to be here, for the friends who are unable to join us. Together we ask for your strength. We give you thanks. Amen.
It's nice to see it's nice and warm in here. At home, Jim would like to have the old heater cranked up to like nuclear levels, so you'll really appreciate it here. For those that don't know me, my name's Ian Hancock. I'm married to Jim's youngest daughter, Lisa. Jim lived with us for a while. Jim Bob, JB, Popper, or just plain Pop. He was born in Thames on 15th of May 1932 to Arthur Craig Darrah. He is known as Bunny, and his mother was Lila Benny, and she was affectionately known as Toot or Nana Brown. His father died when he was 4, when Jim was 4. And his mother later married Rolly Brown, but not until well after the boys left home. Jim left school at the age of 15 and started a plastering apprenticeship with Carrington Building Company. One job they had was plastering the Embassy Theatre. During morning smoko on the first day, they looked up at the handiwork and realised that one of them had done swirls on one side and the other had done flicks on the other. So thinking it was a bit late to change, they carried on with different patterns, and those patterns are still in the old Embassy Theatre now. So then Jim worked at Price's Foundry, where he qualified as a fitter turner. They used to furbish the old wagons for New Zealand Rail, and he told us stories of how some wagons would turn up with some goods still in them. So when this happened, the boys would tuck them around the back so the foreman didn't see. And they'd get in there over lunch and clean the goods out and take them home or sell on to their mates. Later he became a charge hand, and he continued to work at Price's Foundry for 35 years until he retired in 1993, aged 61. At the time, the retirement age had been lifted from 60 up to 65. And I remember he wasn't very happy having to work the extra year. But Jim was a great social character, as we all know. And him and his great mates, Ray Leopold and Jackie Wells and his brother Nook, they'd go to dances regularly. One such time they headed down the coast to Te Puru for a dance. And after the dance they found the car wouldn't start. It's a bit of a bugger. So they walked back to Thames, but when they got back to the Price's Foundry paddock, they noticed a horse in the paddock. So, an idea. They grabbed the horse, rode the horse back down to Te Puru, tied the horse to the car, one drove the car back, the other was on the horse, and towed the car back to town. They put the horse back in the paddock, hoping like heck the boss didn't notice in the morning, and all was good. Another time the old car had some trouble in the right front wheel, so they all hopped out, and then one drove and all the others hopped off the back mudguard and cantilevered off the back so they could drive home. There's always a way with Jim. Jim's other love was sport. He played rugby, as we all know. He played for high school old boys, Thames Peace Cup team, Thames Valley, and then had a trial for the All Blacks. He told some great stories of the old Peace Cup days where they used to beat Auckland and Waikato. They're small towns on the other side of the hill. He was part of the famous 1962 Valley team that beat Australia in the Darrah, which is no mean feat these days, I know, but Jim's playing weight back then was about 78 kilograms, and which is about 5 kilograms lighter than Aaron Smith, the All Black halfback. So it shows what sort of talent he was. But he's a cunning bugger. He's really athletic and a great number 2 line-out jumper. But because he played loose forward, he was expected to get to the first ruck after the line-out. So he thought, nah, bugger that. So he moved into lock. We only had to do one job. I mean, why would you do 2 jobs? You only have to do one. Phil Gifford remembers Jimmy Darrah fondly, and he treasured the day he got to play with his idol for high school old boys when Jim was captain. In 1969, he broke his leg, which brought an end to his rugby career. He was 37 at the time. Just prior to breaking his leg, he had his teeth removed and was waiting for his false teeth. He had his top teeth, but didn't have his bottom ones. So by the time the bottom set was ready, he had a full leg cast on where he broke his leg. And he couldn't get up the stairs to get the teeth fitted. So Jim being Jim, he was managing with the top set, so he thought, oh, well, that'll do. And never ever got the bottom set fitted. Oh, Jim Bob was a great cricketer, basketballer and handy golfer. He's left-handed and he could shank a ball like the best of them. He was held in high esteem by his teammates and opposition alike. He was playing business house netball and basketball well into his 60s. His later love was bowls, and he would bowl every day of the week if he could. He married Ellen Madrick, or Brownie as we knew her, in 1959, and they lived many years on Kuranui Street in Monotiri in Thames. Later, Jim and Brownie moved to Hayward Road in Ngatia. Of course, all of us expert movers got involved. We had the muscle and the ropes and trailers, and when we got to Ngatia, we noticed one of the top drawers of the dresser head was slightly open. As we unloaded, we became acutely aware it was his wife's underwear drawer. This meant a backtrack trip down Hauraki Road where we found knickers and blackberry bushes, hooked on barbed wire, and even up a tree. I think even Jim saw the funny side of that. But old Jim never spoke ill of anyone, unless it was a halfback who did box kicks or up and unders, or a black cap bowler who sprayed the wicket. He was also not a fan of no-look passes. Needless to say, Sonny Bill wasn't his favourite player. So we'd wind him up at any chance we got when a box kick come off and the try was scored. Many a time we'd hear him curse, bloody up and unders. Old Jim was also fond of fishing. However, very few fish were harmed in this story. One day we sent him down the end of Pānui Point to fish, but he came home grumpy as his boat had come too close to the shore and caught his line and broke it. Another time he reckons he caught 2 kawai and brought him home and put him in the bucket. As he put his rod away, the dog ate the fish. I don't know about that, our dog isn't very big. But he insists that's what happened. I think though, Jim's greatest love though, was his daughters, Karen and Lisa. He would spend hours on the sidelines of the netball court or driving around the countryside supporting the girls' teams and always giving some very unwelcome advice. He loved his grandchildren and great-grandchildren and talked about them often. When he was 65, he was feeling a little bit off colour, so he was dragged to the doctors. After some tests, they found a large hole in his heart. A bit of surgery fixed that, but it did slow him up quite a bit. There's an old saying, it goes, nothing good comes from bad thoughts, and that epitomised Jim. He seemed to have plenty of luck on his side. His favourite saying was, you have to be in to win. So I'd take raffles at any chance he could. His favourite number was number 28, which is on his coffin there now. And if he picked it, you could bet your bottom dollar 9 times out of 10 it would come up. But he would joke with his mates it would only come up if he picked it. I had the ability to become the life of the party. Didn't matter if it was teenagers, men, women, children. Everyone had a great affection for Jim. If it was a drinking game on with grandkids or a Christmas party game, he was in, boots and all. At the end of the day, he lived for his bowls. He'd come home often with a meat pack or cash. He was always proud of his to present his winnings after a day at bowls. We would get the bowls code after each day. When he come home, the conversation would go something like, "Hey Pop, hello, how's the weather over here? Good, how's yours? Sunny in the morning, but then it pelted down. So I only played 3 games. No, how'd you get on? Not too bad. There are 2 winners, 3 winners, 2 3.5 winners and 2 4 winners. We're one of the 4 winners but came second after we cut the cards. We won $20 though. And away we would go to ribbon him about the day. And always, good day or great, he'll finish off the conversation with, but we had a lot of fun. And I'd just like to read a little poem out we wrote for Jim, if you don't mind. It's an ode to Jim. It's finals day at bowls, and we're all here to see the last match of the day and who the winner will be. The day has been long, knees ache from the bend. The sun has been hot, but they're on the last end. The tension is real. The head's in a mess. A drive will not do. It's a draw, or no less. We need one with skill to be precise in all that. Then the team smile as Jim shuffles to the mat. The players all gather. The crowd are in awe as Jim takes a green in an extra wide draw. Everyone stops talking, hands shaking, teacups. But this time, as usual, he mucks the thing up. With a slight chuckle, He says, more weight's what I need, but not to worry, I'm only the lead. And as Jim heads home with his son at his back, he is content with a day and his trophy meat pack. Asked how his day was, he says, we won 2. But when they ran the raffle, my 28 came through. Jim's played his last end here, and we wish him the best. After a life of great memories, it's time for a rest. He's off to play in heaven, where he can play the day long. But you'll have to win at bowls, Jim. Number 28's already gone. So play well, Jim Bob, in the everlasting sun. We know winners will draw, you'll have a lot of fun. So thank you, Jim Bob, for the memories, the dry humour, your company, your washing, and your meat packs. You better get going now, mate, but drive carefully over the hill.
Afternoon all. One of life's true gentlemen, a gentleman by giant, a man of few words, the biggest and kindest heart. There's a hard bit, I'm right now. For those who don't know me, I'm Corbin, Papa Jim's eldest grandchild. Poppy had 5 grandchildren, myself, my brother Royce. Crying so much you can't see. I'll come right. 5 grandchildren, myself, my brother Royce, Kendall Mitchell, which is overseas, and Tyler. Pop also had 2 great grandchildren, my son Case, who was 3, and Royce's son Van, which is 1. I'd like to share a few special memories I had of Pop, or we had of Pop. One of them, that was the Vicks Vapor Rub. Pop was a firm believer that you rub Vicks on your chest and the bottoms of your feet. He'd swipe it under your nose, also rub it on your clothes, your bed sheets, and also on your hanky if you ever had one. I hated the stuff, and still do. Pop swore by this, but funny enough, most of us all still use it, but not me. Another one was, like Bruiser said, cutting the cards. He used to sort a lot of things this way. At our beach batch at Pawanui, Pop used to cut the cards to sort out who was doing the dishes. Somehow, he won and us kids always ended up doing them. I still, to this day, have got no idea how that happened, but all the time I ended up doing them. Pop always carried a pocket knife. This come in handy on more than one occasion. He used it to peel oranges off trees, or he would pull it out when needed something cut or tightened. He always had a pocket knife in his pocket, and I always remember there used to be heaps on his wireless in his garage. Can't even remember what I wrote here. Another thing that Pop always had was his he used to get a little diary that was the size of your hand. I don't know how he's seen it, but anyway, it was like the size of your hand. He used to always keep it in his pocket or his bowling bag. It had always had the kids' birthdays, anything he wanted, he had in there. He always had a mobile phone, but he always needed everyone's number written in his notebook, because obviously he couldn't use his mobile phone to find his contacts. He only had a few numbers that were on that phone, but believe me, he still struggled to use his phone. But that notebook, I think, kept him going and kept him out of trouble. Bowling events, it had it all in there. Pop had stories about everything: rugby, cricket, Mum and Lisa's netball, basketball, bowls, of course. The list goes on. One thing we all remember is Pop would repeat his story over and over and over. And if he got to the start of it and you said, "Pop, you've already told me that," wouldn't matter. He kept going till he got to the end. And the story, Bruiser said it too, like the story always ended in, we had a lot of fun, which was good. I'm going to go off the cuff here a bit. I didn't realise until a few days ago how much he meant to everyone in the wider community, and especially the rugby. He was obviously a legend, and the memories will never be forgotten. They'll always be in our hearts. And there's a million more stories I could pop, but rest in peace.
Kia ora. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Mitchell Hancock. I'm one of Papa Jim's 5 grandchildren. Some would say the better looking one, others might say other things. I'm making this video right now on behalf of myself, Kendall, Tyler, as well as Corbin and Royce, because I'm unfortunately unable to attend Jim Bob's life celebration as I'm on a 6-month OE in Europe with my fiance. Now, we had previously made another video the other day where I was at Lone Pine Memorial, which is the Anzac Memorial at Gallipoli, and it was absolutely perfect. So if you could all just pretend I was there. We had some technical difficulties, so we've made this one here just to ensure that that I'm basically present at the funeral for Pop. Now, it'll be nice to share some memories and some stories of Pop. Firstly, Kendall, Tyler and I, we were very, very fortunate and very lucky to have Pop live with us for the last 10 years. We are truly grateful to have had that experience. It was always great to pop home from school, work on the weekend, and just pop on down to Pop's house and actually have a bit of a yarn, have a bit of a chat. And not many people can say that they were fortunate enough to have that. A personal memory of mine would probably be Jim Bob taking Royce and I down the coast to do some fishing. He did that quite a few times, although I'm not sure you could call it fishing. We didn't actually catch anything. In fact, I think one of the last fish Poppy ever caught in Pauanui, the dog ended up actually stealing that while he was getting ready to fill it. So he had a bit of a tough time. Now, I'm sure many people over today will be talking about Jim Bob's own rugby accomplishments. Something I want to say is that he always had time for our own accomplishments. He was always on the sideline watching rugby, he was always on the sideline watching netball, he was always there, and that's something that sort of will probably come up quite a lot again today, is that Jim Bob always had a lot of time for people. Whether it was family, friends, bowling mates, rugby mates, people he met at the supermarket, people he's only met one time, he had a lot of time for people. He actually managed to trap my fiancée Alex into a 3-hour conversation, one of the first times she actually met him. But it's something we're truly actually going to miss a lot from you, Pop. Now, growing up, I always thought, when I was quite small, I always thought Jim Bob was actually a bit of a grumpy old bugger. Only as I got a bit older, I did start to realise he was a little bit cheeky and actually very kind. He was always giving us ice cream lollies, letting us watch whatever we want on TV, taking us out. And as I got even older and we're able to enjoy the finer things in life and have a beer with him, yeah, got to really get to know him a lot better on a more personal level, and I think he was actually a bit of a kid at heart. You could actually see that quite well. Now, just to wrap things up again, just on behalf of Kendall, Tyler and myself, I just want to say Jim Bob, we're truly going to miss you. We felt extremely grateful to have you have been a part of our life and for us to be a part of yours. It's going to be a big hole for us to fill, and we will notice that you're gone. That being said, guys, enjoy the aftermatch. First round's on me, although I'm not paying. Thanks, Mum. Thanks, Dad.
God, I'm shaking. For you that don't know me, I'm Jim Maxwell. I'm going to reflect on Jim's rugby days. And as Corbin said, he was a legend, a true legend. I'm repeating the other speakers I know, but Jim was a very good sportsman who in his younger days played cricket, indoor basketball and rugby in the winter, and he was very competitive whatever he did. After retiring from the Valley in 1965, he coached for a while and later took up lawn bowls, where he became a very respected and competitive bowler. He played for the now defunct Thames High School Old Boys, who I played for United Club, and it was a Hui Mai club, and it was very tough competition between the three clubs. But in my day, Old Boys was extremely strong, and they used to clean us out pretty regularly. Jim played in several Premier winning championships. During these club days, Jim was a regular member of the Thames sub-union side, and on a couple of occasions was part of the Peace Cup winning team. He also coached the 1965 Peace Cup team to this victory, and I was lucky to be on that team. We were lucky to have Jim because we were written off as a group of players, and Jim stepped up as coach, and he got us over the line somehow. In his early days, Jim was a loose forward, but he later moved to lock, where he became renowned for his ability to win line-out ball. Jim was a true jumper, and he could leap head and shoulders above his opponent. Those were the days when lifting wasn't allowed. And Jim just jumped, and I guess he got that from basketball, from the skills there. I've heard stories of some players that opposed him in the line-out, standing on his foot to try and upset Jim's jumping ability. Jim was such a gentleman that he never retaliated. He would just calmly tell the player that he shouldn't be doing that. That player in the room today? Who told me that story, Doug? Jim was a true gentleman, and it was rare to hear him raise his voice in a discussion, and he was never violent. That may have gone against him when he was being considered for higher rugby honours. He's a little bit light as well, as they said. Jim had a North Island trial in 1957. He was first selected for Thames Valley in 1956 and played a total of 59 games until his retirement in 1964. In 1962, he was part of the Valley team that beat Australia, 16-14 in Darrah. Jim's line-out ability and his experience played an important part in that win. Some of the players from that team are present today. I had the privilege of playing with Jim for several seasons in both sub-union and Thames Valley games. I was a young player, and he was an inspiration to me, always willing to help and support where necessary. And I'm sure that other people feel the same way about him. Personally, I had the utmost respect for Jim, and I'll miss him dearly. Especially our weekly Friday night social hour at Pauanui Sports Club, where we'd discuss the rugby and other sports events for the week. He'll be sorely missed. And my feeling goes to the family. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Penny Koch, I'm President of the Hauraki Bowling Club. Jim, I've got to tell you, today's not a bowling day. I don't care what anyone says. But the game was cancelled about 2 o'clock this morning when the storm hit. Jim joined the Hauraki Bowling Club roughly 25 years ago, and the last couple of years he's been a member of Pauanui. He was an associate member of Hauraki, and we could always rely on Jim when we had a tournament. He was a very dedicated Hauraki bowler and would travel over the hill 2 or 3 times a week for a game of bowls. We used to worry at times, but we could never tell him not to come over that hill. Jim and his team, Frank, Des, Selwyn, Peggy, Mike and Ruth, and a lot of others, if he couldn't get his usual team, he'd just ring around till he found somebody. And they would travel all around different clubs, especially Kirapahi, Tui Park, Pyro. And when he got there, there was always 2 or 3 ladies waiting for a hug and a kiss from Jim. I told him once that, it wasn't really the bowls he came to, it was just to see all these ladies. He said, sometimes it gets a little bit embarrassing. But, we just laughed it off, and Jim had a good laugh about that too. Ruth, Mike and Selwyn, they were lucky enough to play with Jim a couple of weeks ago at Kirapahi. And they all say what a privilege it was to play with Jim in his last game of bowls. At Hauraki, Jim won championship singles in 2015. He won the pairs in 2013, 2015 and 2016. And he was also in the fours team that won, in 2015 also, that won the Hauraki 2-day tournament. For our Christmas tournaments, Jim always turned up as Santa. He never brought us any presents though. Asked him once, but he said, never mind, you don't need them. But he always made sure we had a great day of bowls. How he played in that red shirt and that Santa hat on a hot day. Well, that's beyond me, but never mind. That was just Jim. When you think about it, you could talk about Jim and his bowls for a long time, and no doubt this afternoon lots of people will talk about Jim and his bowls. He will be missed at the Hauraki Bowling Club, as well as all other bowling clubs around the Thames Valley. He was a very loyal member to Hauraki. And to Lisa and Ian, Karen and Mark and your families, all members of the Hauraki Bowling Club, send their deepest sympathy. Thank you.
Hello. For those that I haven't met, I'm Lisa, Jim's youngest daughter. We affectionately called Dad Jim Bob. He could be walking down the street and you could yell, Jim, nothing. Jim, nothing. Jim Bob! And he'd turn around. And I don't know even where it started from, actually. But anyway, Jim Bob was Jim Bob. And even up at the hospital last week, they had James, and the doctor was, James, nothing. And we said Jim Bob, so they wrote it up on the board. So, yep, Jim Bob, and eyes would come open, and and there he was. We were really, really lucky that Dad lived with Ian and I for the last 10 years. Firstly out at Front Miranda Road at Waitakaruru, and then most recently at Pauanui Beach. He not only shaped my life, but he also got to shape my kids' lives. I normally cry at strangers' funerals, so I don't know how I'm doing this. The thing that really stood out for me this week is what sort of person Dad was. To me, he was just Dad. He was an awesome pop and an all-round nice guy. He was contented with his life, happy with his lot. He never wanted for much, and he just got on enjoying what he had, and what an amazing way that is to live your life. He was just happy. But this week, I understand that Jim Bob was not just my dad. To other people, he was also very special, a mentor, an extraordinary sportsman, and by the sounds of things, a bit of a legend in a hard case. I thought my dad was an angel, but maybe not. We've heard many stories this week and had many messages, and hearing of how people looked up to him, even idolised him and loved him, makes us so very, very proud. Even this morning I received a phone call from a woman who went to school with Dad, and she had a crush on him. Apparently she was a redhead and a little bit overweight, and she knew she never had a chance. And that's one thing, we used to always talk about Dad's girlfriends. He would, down the main street in the supermarket, there'd be someone wrapping their arms around and giving him a cuddle, and that was Dad, and he had a little smirk on his face, and yeah. I could literally stand here for hours and tell you stories about Dad. We gave him heaps at home, and he took it with a smile, and I think actually probably wound us up a bit, to be fair, but we didn't see that coming. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that for round at the bowling club. Instead, I'd just like to thank you all for coming today and for the support we've had in the last week. While it has literally been the hardest week of my life, I'll get there. I've got such special memories of Dad. So all your stories have really helped with our grief. So if you do have some special memories and some stories, good or bad, please come up, introduce yourself if you come to the after-match function. We'd love to hear them because, yeah, we know we had a lot of fun and it's been great. We've had a lot of laughs, a lot of tears, but yeah, kept a lot from us. But anyway, so I'm not going to keep you. Dad doesn't like long services. Jim Bob, this might be the tag in here, but Jim Bob, I'm not sure how we're going to get through each day without you in it, but thank you for being you. I love you very much. I've got a right-hand man here and you are my left-hand man. And I'm just not sure how we're going to make it. But thanks, Dad.
I meant to follow that, but I'm Tyler. I'm Jim Bob's youngest grandchild and one of his two favourite granddaughters. I didn't actually think I'd be able to speak up here today, but I think I'm all cried out and Pop would be pretty stoked with this result. So I've actually got a video to show. In my last year of university, well, I was studying film and marketing, and I'd used Dad multiple times and got given a final assignment. Can't really remember what it was, but we weren't meant to focus on dialogue, so I'd come up with some story, and I picked Pop as my main actor. So we had the old dog and the old guy, and they do say not to work with animals or children. I can now add grandparents to that list. But as Pop would say, we had a lot of fun, and this video just encompasses him to a T. Everything in this is him. The way he walks, the way he fishes and doesn't catch anything, and just everything in it. I've given you the less edited version so we can see more of him, but yeah, hope you guys enjoy.
promotion to win a League One competitive team, and for me, that's what's. You want to talk us through this, Millsy? I mean, there's no urgency on the chase for such. Yes, that's gone out, but anyone who's played the All Blacks knows there's never going to be questions. All Black defence.